Welcome to Bothering the Band. My name is Ryan Bynack. With me, as always, the Kismet Queen herself, Abigail Ann Levy. Abby, say hi.
Hello.
Oh, man. Encapsulating this episode is tough. It's with Matt Pond, famous for his band Matt Pond PA, who is now transitioned into the Natural Lines. They got a new album coming out on March 25th. It is fantastic. It's a natural evolution. And the only thing I could say about this episode is it was meant to happen. Energy, fate, what have you. Ladies and gentlemen, Bothering the Band with Matt Pond of the Natural Lines.
Hello.
Hey, Matt.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Can you see me? No.
We cannot see you. We see a beautiful sunset.
Yes.
There
Sweet.
you are.
How's it going?
It's going quite well. Welcome to Bothering the Band. We are beyond thrilled to have you.
Cheers.
And oh yes, cheers. What are you drinking?
A Pilsner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Look, I'm drinking water.
It's fine.
I'm at work.
That's good. Are you on the West Coast or the East Coast?
I'm East Coast. I'm in South Florida reluctantly, and Abby, our producer, is in Wyoming.
Oh, cool. Where in Wyoming?
The Jackson Hole area.
Do you like it there?
That's a loaded question. It's winter, so no.
Oh, I know about that. It looks like it's winter's kind of coming to an end up here, or that's what I'm hoping.
Oh, you're very lucky.
And we're going to Mexico on Friday, so.
Are you doing a show? Or are you going on vacation?
It's vacation. It's with hold on one second.
Yeah, do your thing. Abby, do you prefer getting the Wyoming out of the way? Or do you like it deeper in the episode?
Just get it over with. Just rip that Band-Aid off and be done with.
Is Wyoming come up a lot?
Well, a lot of people ask where we're at, where we're based.
Right.
We get a lot of a West Coast assumption. And we're gonna ask you where you're at, but I'm assuming you're in New York.
An hour and a half north of the city.
Okay, cool. And yeah, it's just one of our questions. We always ask where you're at in the world and different location questions.
Cool.
Depending. Some of them are very uneducated and stupid. Some of them have points.
That's fine.
But Wyoming always elicits a fun response from the guests because it is not often. It's either like, oh, I've never been, or is it beautiful, or like the random rare people are like, I've been.
I've played shows in Wyoming, and I've driven through Wyoming, so I have a little experience with Wyoming. But in the winter, it seems like a hellscape.
Yes.
And nothing against Wyoming, or what do we call Wyoming people? What is there a term for them?
We're Wyomingites.
It's funny because I'll call Abby in the morning or something to discuss like whatever we have with the pod, and I would say 50-50. She's like, I'm shoveling snow. You can go F yourself.
Wow. And just not to take away from Wyoming, but you're in Orlando?
I am not, but so Abby and I grew up together in Orlando. I'm a big Orlando Magic fan. I'm in South Florida near Fort Lauderdale.
Cool.
But I am a New Yorker at heart as well. I lived in New York, and actually we're going to cover this because you and I have met before.
Oh man.
But we'll get there.
Okay.
Well, we can get there. So tell us where you're at. You said you're an hour and a half north.
I'm in Kingston, New York.
Okay.
It's nice. I love it. but I don't like the winter. And I grew up in New Hampshire, so I'm used to winters, but it doesn't get any easier. It just seems to get worse. Um, but there's this streak of warm weather, and we're going to Mexico, so I'm excited. Maybe it's over. It's just over. I'm calling it. Winter's over.
It's over. It broke.
Yeah.
Fine by me.
Yeah.
You may have a couple gloomy weekends. Surprise March. Those.
Wait,
like,
what do you
right
do? Why are you trying to ruin
What?
my? I
Yeah.
had this whole like imaginary.
Oh, you're right. I'm such a negative Nancy.
We're manifesting over here.
And I like Florida, by the way. If we met and talked about that, I'm like, I lived in St. Augustine for 2 years. As a place, I think it's fine. There are some people that aren't the best, but
It's okay. I'm in
Yeah.
a nice part of Florida. I'm the opposite. I do like the New York winters. It's different. Wyoming has winters from like what was it? August, maybe September to May. There's like 3, maybe 2 months of nice weather in Wyoming. I like the solid 3 months of winter in New York, and the fall is the best. I love it. I also think you can dress cooler. In Florida, you're very limited for 11 months out of the year.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. There's something just this struggle, cold hands, all of it. It's just kind of like, and then I have to keep the heat down, and my girlfriend, she thinks it's like jail, and I'm not trying to do jail. I'm just trying to say, like, can't have it cranking all that, it just goes
Yeah.
around and around, and I want it warm, but anyway. That's winter.
so you mentioned your hands. Do you have to, like, in cold weather cities, do you have to like do different things before you play?
Yeah, I think that people, really great players, would have to worry about that. I'm more of like just grab the guitar and do what I can do, So cold hands, that's not very, I don't worry about it too much. But it does.
Singing though too, right?
Actually, I'm being self-deprecating. I got to stop this thing.
This is the podcast. You can be very conceited and toot your own horn.
I don't have those tools in my toolbox. It's hard. Cold is hard. Cold is like, makes everything just, for me. And even though I know that being sweaty and disgusting is unattractive in a lot of ways, I almost would just rather lie on someone's lawn, sweaty and unattractive, than have to deal with this whole thing. But maybe it builds character. Maybe I'm becoming a better person.
One of our last guests said this about Florida. They're like, maybe it gave you both, talking about me and Abby, character. However, you lived in St. Augustine. Did you ever lay down in St. Augustine grass? Do you know what that is?
Yes. It's I don't know. I'm not a grass aficionado.
But the answer is no, because
No,
then you
that's-
would be covered in fire ants.
Also, it's very hard and itchy. It's different. It's like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've been in the grass. I've also been bitten by fire ants or attacked. I'd take fire ants over winter. I mean,
that's a quote.
And I'm stealing it because I'm with you
Yeah.
150%. Like the
Well-
thing with the hands, I hate cold hands. I hate it. The other day,
Well,
I like knocked my hand on something, and I was like, that only hurt because my hand is freezing cold right now.
Yeah.
Cold bones. Yeah.
It's hard because I have a dog, and or we have a dog, and walking the dog in winter has brought me further into winter, and that drives me nuts, because she loves it too. It's also, I'm kind of annoyed with her for just being like, oh, I love it outside. It'll be 10 degrees and she doesn't want to wear her coat. She just wants to run around.
Well, I'm going to ask for Abby. She loves dogs. I mean, we both do, but she gets real giddy about it. What kind of dog? What's its name?
Its name is Willa. I have a picture on my
Have we had a Willow? We've had a Willow dog on here
Willa.
before.
Just
Willa. Okay.
Willa. Am I doing it right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got it.
She's pretty great. She's just like a constant puppy. I think she's 4. I can't remember how old she is, but she's amazing. Here's a drawing of her if you want that one of our dog people.
I love it.
There's a lot of Willa art too. It
I
kind of
love
takes
the dogs
over.
that always look like they're smiling.
Yeah, she does. She's painting because she hates the heat. So we have this, yeah. If she were here, she'd be arguing with me. But she's downstairs with my girlfriend recording in the basement.
There.
Yeah.
So Matt, I thought you were in Brooklyn. Are you?
I was for a long time.
Yeah. So my first really dumb question was, have you ever seen any wild animals in Brooklyn? And I'm also curious if you know why I'm asking that question.
I have not. I've heard that there's some kind of that. No, I haven't seen any. I mean, just dogs. Our dogs are not wild animals. Dogs and cats. So why do you ask the question?
You have a great song, Brooklyn Fawn.
Yes.
I love that song. Okay. The listeners have heard me say this a bunch, but while the questions will seem very silly and stupid, there are some that are tailored for the guest, and that is the first one. However, you never seen a raccoon or a hawk or anything in Brooklyn? I've seen
I
those.
mean, I don't think I paid attention. I stayed inside a lot and then and wrote in my room when I lived in New York. I didn't look up until the sun went down, and then that's when I would kind of go out. That's why it was easier to juxtapose all the kind of the things I'd grown up with and all the nature, and then I just went in my head in the city because I'm just uncomfortable around a lot of people. And there's a lot of people there. So
there's a lot of people there. I took Abby there for the first. We did a live show it was in Brooklyn last year, and it was her first time, and so that was I was like, yeah, there's people.
What did you think, Abby?
I loved it. I had a blast. It was a lot of fun, especially because I live in the middle of nowhere. There were, more people in the one subway car we were in than in my whole town. But it was fun. I liked it.
So we'll stick with kind of locate. Are you a sports fan?
I don't ever want to get into sports so much that it makes me act like a dick to anyone else. So the second I feel myself getting either so excited or so upset about something, then I realize how ridiculous it all is, and then I have to stop. I don't know about that. I like the Mets. I like the Sixers. And that's it.
So a follow-up question, Eagles in the Super Bowl.
I just had a bad experience when I lived in Philly, and I don't want to upset any Eagles fans because they're very serious people and they can be very angry, but that's why I stopped liking football, is because just seeing the amount of violence fans could put on each other, and that they started a courtroom in the stadium. I don't know if they still do it, but that's where it started.
What?
Yeah. So they could convict people immediately of the crimes that they had committed in the stadium. And it started with the Eagles, and it makes sense. Now, if you're an Eagles fan, I apologize, but that's how I feel. And please don't come after me.
Well, I think you were very diplomatic. I think you were
Thanks.
you danced around that very gingerly. But I think if you're a sports fan, Philly fans are the roughest of the bunch.
Yeah. I like players. I like but there are some teams in some cities that I just don't like at all. And there is a certain thrill of watching sports to live out those dislikes. But that's a terrible part of me that I shouldn't cultivate, but it's just true. I can't say it though. You can't say the cities and players you don't like. know.
We've probably thrown some under the bus here.
I mean, we've
but,
already named one. We've already gone into one. Like Philly is a tough one for me. But then I love the Sixers. So what can you do?
I love the storied franchise of the Sixers. I really do. I was going to say, when I was younger, I love your philosophy because I was very intense, and it would make or break my mood for the evening. And organically, something around 30, something about having a child. Now I'm like, I found the joy again in whether they win or lose. And I think it's the most fun I've had watching sports.
Yeah, there's something about when I was heartbroken as a kid that I was like, I don't want to live through that anymore. So I was a strange kid.
You're on the right podcast, dude.
Okay, good.
You're talking to two strange kids who grew up, who love music, and somehow figure out a way to just like force themselves to be friends with our favorite musicians. That's it.
That's cool.
So that being said, I have to say this episode is rather fateful, if you will. I saw you play in Montreal. In my memory's a little foggy because it was back in my drinking days, but
was it an upstairs place?
It was an upstairs place.
Yes. Were there a lot of pictures of, what is her name? She was in Melissa Oftemar.
Okay. I don't remember the photos of her, but
there were photos of her everywhere on the walls of this little venue. It was a lot of fun. I remember that show, if it's the same show. Yeah.
So I had a tradition when I would go to Montreal, and I would go the first bar, anything I heard original music, I would go beeline into it. And that is what happened. And I was like, I like this music. Go ahead. So
you had no idea who we were. You just walked in.
I just walked in.
And what was I have a big thing with Montreal. Like that's where I first danced in front of people. And it was a huge thing for us. We would pretend to be going over to each other's houses in high school and then drive up to Montreal, which is an hour and a half or 2 hours away from where we grew up, cross the border, go dance, sleep in the car, drive home and be like, oh, that was, and then lie to our parents as we always did. But that was what we did. So, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So I would take the train up from New York, and I loved the city, and it became a tradition. And one of the traditions was to go, there was so much good music at the time, so many bands who have now been on the show. And so flash forward, I loved your music. Flash forward, and I got to get my timeline right, but I remember a friend of mine was interning, and I'm going to say these names to you. I left the paper. Matt Watts.
Yes. Still good friends with him.
Christina Prince. A friend of mine interned for that.
Okay.
So he was He was like, I'm helped. There was a name association, and Matt Pond came up, and I was like, I love that guy, love his music. And so that was my, but my friend Franco worked for people who were connected to you. Shout out to Franco. He'll listen to this because I called him yesterday and I go, hey, did you do anything stupid? Can I mention your name? and
everybody's forgiven for everything stupid. Yeah.
Well, you got to get to know Franco, but and he got me into a show in New York that you went to, and again, this is over 15 years that I'm talking about. And then always loved your music. like so much. And then your new project came into our email, and we were like, holy shit. I was like, holy shit. So
Cool.
that's the little backstory. But however, there's another like side parallel story is your partner, Anya,
Anya Marina.
almost played, because I did a lot of poetry and comedy shows in New York. And so there's a lot of crossover. She almost played one of my shows, but like had like a scheduling conflict. And this is like a decade ago.
That's crazy.
And then I helped out at a comedy show in Brooklyn for a long time. They just had their last show. You're friends with comedians. It's all swirling. I'm rambling, but I think it makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. I work for comedians now, or with. How do you say that? With. And I love it. It really that's actually one of the things. Anya is a big piece of the puzzle about why I was motivated to put this music out. Another one is working with Nikki has been huge. It's been great.
Yeah, man.
So.
It's a small world. We're learning that the music world, the comedy world, these types of performances are such a small world. We are like adjacent to that. And I've always just been on the perimeter. I love comedy. We love music. We're just, that's not our like career path. But I know so many people that know Nikki, like great friends.
Cool.
And by default, they know you. So it's very weird. We're in the matrix, essentially. And this leads me to a question. Do you believe in fate, God, the matrix, whatever you want to call it?
I believe in not in like I believe in energy. I believe that there is something that lasts beyond our existence. I don't, or I hope, but there are a lot of coincidences that I'd rather I'd rather an energy be responsible than like a conspiracy theory. I'm not like, or a religion, and religion's cool. My dad was a minister. Everybody, my mom's very religious. I am not, but I'm not against it. I see the power and the point in it. But I'm trying to be diplomatic. It's hard to tell your dad you don't believe anything that he does, but
Oh, I bet. That's tough sledding right there.
Yeah, but I believe that there's something tying us together. There has to be, otherwise, what's the point?
I as the older I get, the more connections I'm clear-headed enough to see. Like this. It's silly not to believe that, like you said, an energy, which sounded like a song lyric. Just gonna throw that out there.
Oh yeah, well,
it was close. But we're gonna continue. I had to get that out, and we're gonna continue. When's the last time? And forgive me if this has been a question you've been asked. When's the last time you jumped into a pond?
I didn't get to swim enough last summer, but there's no summer where I'm not jumping into something. I'm pro swimming, even though what I do isn't exactly swimming. It's kind of more like a coordinated flail, but I do it well and I stay afloat, and I've, been alive till this point. But I love swimming in anything, even a pond.
Well, you also, it's a super dumb question, but you also have a cool album cover of kids jumping into water.
That's from, those are Australian kids. That was from a woman. We graduated in the same class together in high school. And we walked down the little aisle outside. What do you call an outside aisle? Or yeah, it's an aisle still. And she's an amazing National Geographic photographer now. let me use that photo for free, because I was just like, this is brilliant. And I wish I had more time to talk to her or hang out with her, but she's brilliant. Amy Tunsing is her name. And she's just so busy. She's more rock and roll than I am. I don't know if I'm rock and roll anymore.
You're pretty rock and roll, man. I was going to ask you, how do you describe your music?
I don't even know. It's weird to start over. It's weird to like start over and start over being way more optimistic than you did when you first started. I think it's still rock. It's just, slightly more delicate, but not when it's live. There's no way to tone something down when you're playing in front of an audience. For me.
I like the slightly delicate rock.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the word delicate though, but I'll stick to it.
Oh man. I was gonna say, if it would help you, like picture yourself in like a weird family holiday, and someone you don't know corners you in the kitchen and they say, "What do you do?" And you tell them you're a musician, and they go, "Oh, what kind of music do you play?"
Yeah, I do that every day. And more on tour, and more with the more people know about you, the more they ask. I mean, I remember we're considering going to South by Southwest, and I remember one of the first times I played, I'm in a bathroom, and there was a woman next to me, and we're washing our hands, and she's like, "We're gonna make it. We're gonna be number one." And I was like, "That's cool." She's like, "What's your band name?" And I was like, "Matt Pond, PA." And she's like, "That is the worst name I've ever heard. You guys
Oh
are
my
never
God.
gonna make it." And I was like, "Okay, goodbye, thanks." So you're always kind of going uphill a little bit, whether it's your other people around you, or just trying to define what you're doing. And part of like that question is, there's so much in that question, like, so what kind of music do you play? It's like, it depends on what time of day and where I'm at in the house, and if I'm playing am I playing electric guitar, or am I playing acoustic? Did the drummer show up, or is this just a solo show? There's a lot of, I should probably think a little less and just get a like shorter answer, but I don't know what type of music I play.
I think that says a lot, and I appreciate that answer. Right, Abby? That was pretty good.
Thank you.
I agree.
I feel like you guys are looking down and then grading me after these. I
No,
hope
we're just
I'm
taking diligent notes.
okay. Good.
Like I said, this episode is all fate, kismet. And there are no wrong answers on Bothering the Band. We just nothing political. That's all we try to steer away from. Okay, what kind of music did you listen to, not your own, today?
Gosh, I listened to I don't even know how to pronounce. This is how non-internet I am sometimes. How do you pronounce SZA?
SZA.
So I listened to her new album today, and I loved it. It was
It's
like
fabulous.
So I was just kind of I get so much out of like just not only like the lyrics, it's like the rhythm of singing and being able to do it and pull it off and then make sense, and how that adds into the overall what she's saying. Like, that's all I've been trying to do with this new band, is kind of disrupt my my like internal rhythms, and kind of like just singing wise, the way I phrase things, and look for new ways to say things that just make it feel exciting for me to both sing over and over. Because you start writing a song, and if you really like it, you realize you're going to have to sing this a lot of times. And if you don't like it, it's rough to just keep. And I mean, I feel like most of our music, we change we change it to be played and sung live. And I think it just gets better and better. But yeah, that's what I listened to today. I listened to some Tom Berlin, and
nice.
yeah, I love her new album. It took me a second to completely get into it. It's not that I don't like things right away. It's just if I read about them first, it kind of skews things, and so I have to kind of refine it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
which is crazy because I want people to read about our music in order to find out about it, but I'm like, it's not what it is. No one else is going to explain it better than I can, or Tom Berlin or SZA or anyone. You just have to go to the source.
You have to go to the source. You have to dive right in.
Yeah, and you have to give it.
Sorry,
No, go for it.
you're talking to two people who definitely do their homework, but also have a just a lifelong habit of being like, okay, new Tom Berlin, new SZA. This is what we're listening to all day, and then we'll talk about it. We have other friends also, who help out on the podcast or just in our real life that are, music geeks tend to roll together, and love discussing the music.
That's cool.
As well as the writing about the music. So
yeah, I don't discuss. I have one friend who I discuss music with, because I trust him and he trusts me in the way that we expose each other. It's not like this competition for someone to listen to something else. And I don't like being exposed to music that I don't want to hear. It's really like I get really upset. Like I don't like being held captive. And that just goes way back to one time in Fairleigh, Vermont. We took a bunch of acid and I was forced to listen to Joe's Garage by Frank Zappa over and over and over again. Nothing wrong with Zappa. I respect that. But
that traps you.
These two brothers were singing all the lyrics like as if they were like a two-person, Broadway show. And I get really, it brings, like, I almost have these kind of flashbacks if I am forced to listen to something or like see the value in something or be taught something.
I was going to follow up with, have you ever, again, this goes back to being like cornered in a kitchen with someone, and it happens to us where we're like, oh yeah, we host a music podcast, and then someone who you have less than 100% respect for will say, oh yeah, you should check out Bon Jovi, or someone that's not bad, but it's just so big or so like, oh yeah, everyone. Did you just suggest Bon Jovi to me? Like I hadn't heard of them?
You get that. I get that. It's not that much anymore. I mean, I think that I'm about to head out into the wide world again, and that will probably be part of I'll relive those experiences. But I've been kind of shut down, and then we all got shut down, and then, excuse me, we're coming out of it. I mean, I think music is just starting to, even now, still, people are less scared, or not scared. They're more into being in crowds. Even me,
Mhm.
like, I wasn't excited about being in a crowd for a long time.
Yeah, there was a bit of a curve.
Yeah.
First couple shows going to, and
Yeah.
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask something else. Oh, so you mentioned SZA.
Yes.
Again, flashback 10 years ago. She was in the mix with your people. Do you remember
Really?
this? Yeah.
I don't. AAM.
My friend Franco, who interned with Matt Watts and the guy from Finch, Strohmeyer or something like that. This is who I went to your show with, and a woman named Christina Prince, and they were courting a young SZA, and well before she blew up. But I remember like 2 years ago when she started blowing up, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
I don't know. Like, that's the other thing, is maybe I'll read more and find out more about people blowing up or people, but I never know. Like, I think playing, like starting out again and kind of reconnecting with people musically in a wider sense is going to open me up to seeing that these people have been there for a while. Like, I kind of listen to things without the story behind it. It's almost the same way I approach music. I don't think that I'm like I don't exactly call myself a musician. I just really love writing songs. I really love writing songs. And then I really love performing with people that are moved by the experience, so I'm, if I get, I should I should study more sometimes. I should work on my scales. I should read more about artists. But I kind of love just being like, holy shit, this is, what the fuck am I listening to? Like, this is taking me out of, I like not knowing a lot of things.
You're
and
just
I
killing it with these quotes.
well, I used to drink a lot, and I used to do a lot of other things too. And I was always to try to get to that kind of state of just oblivion. And I would always not measure it well enough. Like, I think if you struggle with alcohol, you're not like a precise chemist.
Oh yeah. I use the metaphor of like sports where I was a professional for a long time, and like just like Kobe Bryant, I had to hang it up. I had to retire. And I think there comes a time in most professional, if you're a pro at something. Let's change subject. Who's your favorite comedian?
I mean, I have to say Nikki Glazer. But I don't have to say it out also. I mean, I see her perform a lot. I don't think people understand her comedy, which is, fine, but she, people think she's just a dirty comic, and she's so, it's so heavy. A lot of the things that she says, she deals with suicide. She deals with all these really heavy subjects and things that people almost you're not supposed to talk about right now. And she's just fearless. And I love that fearlessness. I love it. It's like, it's kind of scary. Like, you feel on edge when you're watching. Sometimes some audiences just go flat when she makes a joke. And some of her jokes are like, hardcore, hard to stomach, but like, she's really doing it. And, I mean, Catherine Blanford is another amazing comic right now.
She's great. I mean, Nikki is Hall of Fame worthy, man. Like, she's fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's just funny. I shouldn't ever do this. I don't look at comments on my own stuff, but sometimes I'll look at comments to her because I feel defensive, or I want to like, and people, like, she's doing a residency with David Spade. And he's brilliant too. I mean, his brilliance is almost his dryness and his quickness, but that's his pacing is, he's just he's the best. And they're good friends, and they're doing a residency in Vegas. And people just, say that Nikki, in less than polite ways, is just like a dirty comic. And that bums me out, that people don't listen. And then I identify with that, because, there are times in my life where you're so, where, like, people will be like, why don't you have a cello, when you're playing live or something? And they say that, they say something about like, that's the best part of your band. And they kind of miss the what I think is the best part of the band is the collaboration, especially live, and the communication live, and yeah, I'm going on several tangents at once.
Oh, we're following all
Okay, cool.
3 to 4 roads you're weaving here. That's a metaphor. And I'm also just your speaking voice is as hypnotic as your singing voice. And I was very, again, having met you and not remembered what your voice exactly sounded, I was like, I wonder if he's gonna sound like a angel on this pod. And you do. So there you go. I think those people who are commenting are assholes that don't know. And what I would say, my instant reaction is, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
You're right, but this is the internet we're talking about. And the funny thing I realize about the internet, and what I've realized lately, is, we're kind of coming back into things, and slowly we're, I hope maybe things kick into gear as people hear your music. Maybe they like it more and more. Maybe it blends with the music we've done before. I'll know when we're like marginally successful that's when negative comments will start appearing on things. That's how you can tell that, like, oh, I made it.
I've said this about this very pod. I will know we're doing something right when someone goes, the host sucks. Like, that's all I want too. And I will agree, another weird connection is a friend of Nikki, who's friends with me, is a comedian named Dan Soder. And do you know Dan, or
I know the
Dan?
name, and I know a little bit.
So he gave me a book a few years ago called The Easy Way to Quit Drinking, which Nikki gave him like 6, 7, 8 years ago. So it's just kind of passed down.
Anya gave me that book, and I started it, and I'm like, but I'm not ready to learn all this stuff. I mean, but I'm trying moderation, and if moderation works, but if it doesn't work, then I'm out of there.
All right, so we got a couple more dumb questions for you, and this is my favorite type of question: Matt Dillon or Matt Damon?
Oh, Dylan. I mean, Drugstore Cowboy. Yeah, that's a big movie. I don't think that anything Damon's done has kind of resonated, but I don't think I like both Matts. Anyone named Matt, and there are a lot of them, is cool with me. But also, Matt Dillon was at a show of ours when we opened for Carbon Silicon, which was a Clash. Who's the guy from the Clash was in that band? Gosh, my memory is so bad. But anyway, he was at a show of ours. And
was it in the city? I saw Matt
Yes.
Dillon on the subway once, and he looked very lost. Like, not like mentally lost, but like
emotionally?
Not emotionally. Like he didn't know where he was. He was like looking out when the train would stop and it would open, the doors would open. He'd be like that.
But that's his act. I think that's how he got through acting. It's just the eyebrows. If they're slightly furrowed, he's just always like looking like, something's wrong. Something's lost. I'm really depressed. And then he made it.
Oh, that's funny. What's the last poetry you read?
I read a little Sylvia Plath recently.
I have a Sylvia Plath tattoo.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cheers to, is it Here's to Spring, or Cheers to Spring for Life, for Growing Soul, something like that got stuck in my head.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Because I'm like wanting spring so bad. Like I want to recite poetry to make it come, like some kind of pagan ritual, burn something, read poetry. I don't know.
Oh, you can't wait for it.
I cannot wait.
I felt so Abby and I love poetry. as everyone should. But I fell in love with your music. I'm a lyrics just sponge, and you write some damn good lyrics, my man.
I appreciate that. I struggle. We're in I'm very critical of what I write. So I've tried to be like, with this new album and with everything I'm doing now, I'm like, okay, whatever honesty I was getting at before, now I have to just I have to be really honest. And so that's where I'm at, is kind of, I have to be honest and not make it sound like garbage, and I also don't want it to sound like like my high school journal, like or as Paul Rudd would say, my journal. I want it to sound like, I want to be honest, and also I want to be careful. Like, I want to be thoughtful about, like I was saying, rhythm is a big thing with me for like, even just the way it fits together, like lyrically, and just like, a word can't work if it's not running right in the right rhyme scheme and the right. And then again, there's some things where I'm like, this has to work. So I have to find a rhythmic way to sing this. And then I have to sing it 100 times. I probably overwork some of this baloney, but I want it to be right, or right for me. Now I'm sweating. I don't know why that question.
No.
This is heavy questions.
It was a light compliment, to be honest.
Okay,
with you.
thank
you. It was, we love your lyrics.
Yeah, I
but
appreciate it.
we're all put the most pressure on ourselves, and whatever pressure you're putting on comes off on the listener side with ease. It is just, man, it's, from my point of view, especially as a young poet in New York City, I was like, man, I wish I could write like this asshole. Like, fuck, and that's an actual quote from my journal about Matt Pond, PA.
I think living in the darkness in New York helped me write a lot. Like I said, the kind of this weird diagram of getting a dog, getting together with Anya and working with Nikki really somehow flipped everything for me too. And I don't know how it worked, but it's some kind of like, I'm proud of the things that I did in my previous incarnation, but I'm most proud of what I'm doing now, I think. And I feel like excited to do more. And I used to kind of started slipping to a self-hatred cycle with a lot of the stuff I was doing before. Probably with the help of alcohol, probably with the help of just kind of not being unsettled. And now I'm more settled. I don't want to say I'm too settled, because I still like to set fire to things and be irresponsible as much as I can be. But, a little unsettled.
I think the natural line stuff is fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
And your belief in it comes through. So again, I think you answering or whatever this response is harder than whatever you're actually, harder to convey than, and tell me if I'm wrong, but
no. And I'm so excited about the follow-up that I don't think that I can beat the follow-up album. And so, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited about getting these demos into their next phase. With the pandemic, there was a lot of writing time. I don't know if you guys wrote through that, but that's like all I felt like. It was great. And then it pushed me to write outside of it. And now I feel like I've kept that going. I can't stop. It's like a disease.
oh, I love it. Oh, That's so exciting. I don't that very profound choice of words. I don't know how to follow it, but I'll just say, are there any skylights in your home in Kingston?
So my mom is a skylights like zealot or kind of like worshiper of skylights, so much that like every room has a skylight in it, and it's so and she has this house in Canada where the time zone's different, and so the sun comes up and it's kind of blinding at like 5 a.m. and it's always been this way. All like she's just like, I love sunlight. And I'm, sun's great. It's perfect. Whatever it does, it's great. But like I love night, and my mother can't stand night. And I don't want to say that this is some kind of like Freudian or like even Greek classical thing, but we're at odds here, and skylights represent this kind of being forced out of your calm sleep into this kind of just being pushed outside of your reality. And so in a certain sense, thanks Mom for the metaphor, but in reality, skylights are awful things, and they should be ended.
Especially spontaneous ones, or in Abigail's case, leaky skylights. She's got one right over her bed.
You got to get up there.
It's really hard to reach.
I know. You got to get up there. I've done all my dumb home repairs. I mean, I didn't grow up a lot with my father, so I got this house for nothing before. And I love this little tiny house, but it's not one of those tiny houses, but it's small. But it forced me into learning how to do all that dumb, because I mean, I'm not a millionaire. So you do things for yourself, and a skylight sometimes might need some Flex Seal.
I'm running out of room with all these quotes. Man, what do you own a robe?
I do. I don't use it. It's dull gray, and it makes me feel like I'm in a sanatorium. So I don't like that. Always feel like I'm like, something's really wrong with me when I'm in this, like
Yeah.
I'm losing it. And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm just eating breakfast. Like, what's wrong with you? But it's like, no, this is the end. You've gotten to the end of your rope. So I don't wear it a lot. I don't like wearing it.
I can't wait till there's a sanatorium robe song
Yeah.
on the last Natural Lines album. Where's the craziest place you've ever heard your music?
Like grocery stores. I mean, that's not that crazy, but it's kind of like do, and then it's like, Brooklyn Stars. What the fuck? Like, why? And then I've heard that it's been on like PAs at ski mountains in Canada. But I don't go listening for my music. If it's on, I get nervous and I have to leave wherever it's on.
So you don't go to grocery stores and you're like, why aren't
No,
you
I don't
playing
wander grocery stores.
Brooklyn Stars right
No. I think we've been, Brooklyn Stars has had its time in the store. It's over.
now? I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like you are a couple years, maybe even closer, and a couple friendships away from being on a Taylor Swift album.
Look, it's funny because I thought someone would mention something about Taylor Swift, and I don't know why. Nikki is a huge Swiftie. So when we played a couple, are you? Okay. So when we played we played a couple shows. I'm, no offense to Swifties. I wouldn't call myself a Swiftie, but we did a few shows with Nikki. And we played Anti-Hero, and she sang. Off the new album, You're on Your Own, Kid is by far and away my favorite song. I've tried to play it a bunch of times. I can't nail it. I wish I could, but I love it. I love the images in it. I love a lot of what she does. I the superstardom, I don't know about that, but I don't know if she knows about that either. So you know, I'm cool with Taylor Swift. I feel like I would just love to see her just push beyond like what she's done so far. I don't, and I'm that, you know, we're talking probably 10, 20 years from now, because she's on a good, she's making hits and they sound good, and they're not, you know, they're good songs too. But there's like a rough edge to her, that if she's looking for a rough edged voice to accompany her voice, then I'm just saying that I might be the person that could help her out with that, with like, you know, free Tom Waits, just something, just a little gravel in the silk, something to mix it up a little bit.
Oh man. Gravel in the silk is good. I don't think it's up to you, but I do.
I know I have to be
see it in your
summoned.
future. I feel like you're gonna be out in the world with Nikki, and you know she's gonna be like, "Oh my God." She's gonna be in the same place. Go up to Nikki. They're gonna talk. Nikki's gonna introduce you. The next thing you know, a couple weeks, you're in the studio. Flash forward a year, you're at the Grammys, and we're like, "Fuck, he's never gonna talk to us now." I'm glad we got him.
I mean,
then.
these things aren't going to happen, but, or maybe whatever, but I would still talk to you, of course. And then, but the funny thing is I think the only person that Nikki would be nervous to meet, and what I love about Nikki is her fearlessness, but it's Taylor Swift. Like, she's the only person that would be like, I think she wouldn't know what to say, because she knows all her lyrics. She plays all her songs all the time. Yeah, it would be a lot. And for me, I think it would be a little bit less. Like, who would I be nervous to meet? I mean, so many people, but I don't think I'd be nervous to meet Taylor Swift. And not that I don't think she's great. It's just she's not my, like, I'd be nervous to meet Nick Cave, you know?
Oh yeah, I bet you he's real intimidating.
Yeah, but I think he's also a sweetheart too. So
Yeah. But you know, like I think the reputation would precede him there, but then he'd be like, you know, like you said, a sweetheart.
Yeah.
So, when's the last time you had a natty light or a natty ice?
I think is a Natty Daddy, or is that one of those in that, is that in that?
You're gonna have to ask Abby. She went to a real college. I did not. So I just
There
know
was this
natty.
huge, 5 years ago, Laura Stevenson and her husband brought me one as like a gift or a curse, and I drank it. You know, you can't turn down these gifts, even if they're like worse poison than, yeah, like,
That's a real thing.
yeah.
Big, bold, and cold.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Natty Daddy, or is that, am I doing it right? Yeah. Okay.
You are.
Whatever it was, I drank it. And like, that's another problem with being like, I have to stop doing this, is like, if you're a drinker, a pro, whatever anyone puts at you, you consume. Like, it's almost like, no, of course, you know, I'm not going to waste that. I don't waste things. And so I don't want to be that type of person anymore. I don't want to drink Natty Daddy anymore. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. That's especially if that's your go-to. You're like,
It's not my go-to. It was bought for me.
I was just kidding.
Yeah. On the rider, Natty Daddy only.
Yeah, it's green M&Ms and natty daddy. The Natural Lines music is fantastic.
Thank you.
We immerse ourselves into the guest, you know, leading up to it, and sometimes it's more work than pleasure, and this is all pleasure. I haven't turned it off. I picked up my daughter from school, was on in the car, you know, 5 a.m. throughout the week, getting up to work, it's on. We love it. And that being said, we end every episode with a song from the guest. What song should we end this episode with, Matt?
The EP, I think It's a Trap would be my song for that, because that's just like
I like that song too.
yeah, I kind of tried to take, that's a song of getting out of my head, getting out of your like just the standard way of singing things, and being like, you've got to push this beyond anything that you thought you could do. It's like it's like doing a layup and missing over and over and over, and then just taking a video of the one time you nail it and then showing that to everyone.
Like, I did it. This is me.
This is me.
When does the album officially come out?
March 24th, I think. They've moved it a couple times. It took a long time to come out. I'm cool with that.
All right. So we'll get the song from Caroline, who is the best, by the way.
She's cool.
We've created a relationship with her. And again, when I saw your name pop up, I called Abby and I was like, make that happen. It's weird. Make it all happen.
So it all came together.
Yeah, indeed. A super dumb question. Tell the people where to follow your stuff on social media and shit.
I mean, this is I'm not a good social media person. I should be better. But we're at The Natural Lines on Twitter, at Natural Lines on Instagram. Still doing Matt Ponpier things on Facebook. I think we're at Natural Lines on Facebook too. It's like trying to bring these two worlds together and not make anyone angry, just make everyone happy. Like the new people and the older fans. I think it'll work. It's fun to play our old songs in kind of the style of things that we're doing now, and just it's fun to, like, I think it'll be 50-50 with songs playing live, just because you can't ignore the old ones.
You're like Dylan going electric. People are furious.
I don't, that's so generous, but not probably true. I think it's more, I was just thinking about Dylan today too, because of the Coyote song. Oh gosh, the Joni Mitchell song, Coyote, about Sam Shepard when they were on the Rock and Roll Thunder Review, whatever tour. And I just love, like, if there's any poetic album that like the Hejira is just like a constant poetry album for me in terms of how can I be a better writer. So
well said. Everyone follow The Natural Lines on Instagram, and follow Bothering the Band too. Matt,
cool.
Next time you log on, give us a follow.
I will definitely do that.
This will be a perfect question for you, because I know you're going to answer it decisively. What musician, live or dead, would you want to quote unquote bother by asking them a question in the style of Bothering the Band?
Ooh, that's tough. It would need, like, it probably wouldn't be Joni Mitchell, because I don't know if she seems serious. Probably Neil Young, because he can probably take a little bit of think in
his old age he would like
He's
to talk about
what what he has and what some people have. Joni didn't have it as, I mean, maybe she does. I just see a little more sense of humor in or maybe Kurt Weill. I wouldn't mind asking him a couple goofy questions, because he's from Philly and he's goofy and he's someone that can definitely laugh at himself, and like that's almost the undercurrent of his music, and he's a brilliant guitar player and singer and lyricist. So it's like that humility would be, I would ask your questions to him, pose them.
So Neil or Kurt, what dumb question would you ask them?
It would probably be like, what number would you wear on your Eagles jersey, or some dumb for Kurt, I would have to be some like, how do you like your cheesesteak? So stupid. Nobody wants to answer. Like, see, this is why I'm not doing what you're doing, because I'm terrible at it. I'd have to think about it. I'm not an off the cuff thinker. I practice thinking.
I
So
love you're gonna be driving, or you're gonna be walking the dog, and you're gonna be like, oh, it'll hit you. You're like, this will be a good question to ask Kurt.
I'll send it to you when I finally figure it out. I have one question.
Please do. And last but certainly not least, what is next for Matt Pond and the Natural Lines?
It's funny. When I was doing our old band, I was always like, can we just have a 6-month plan? Everyone else gets to know what they're doing from 6 months till now, or from now. And that's kind of the cool thing about music, is you're never going to know. You're never really going to know. And so we're planning a tour, but it could change if we take a support slot, and we might go to South by Southwest, but I have to decide tomorrow, and that's less than a month away. There's something a little bit fun about this way of thinking. Like, I love plans, I love schedules, and I love everything, but this just totally turns it on its head. So I think we're starting out touring again. I don't know if it's going to be like we did at the beginning, where we're just grinding it out. I don't know if I can take that for a long, long time, but I mean, I just want to release music and tour. More recording and releasing than touring, but I'm in this again. Ugh. I already feel the pain, but it's a good pain.
What a great way to end this episode. Everyone, just do yourself a favor, go listen to The Natural Lines. Go back and listen to Matt's prolific catalog. I think we've talked enough about fate and energy. That's the word used. But this has been one of my favorite. I can't thank you enough, man. We can't thank you enough.
Thank you too. And I believe in it. It's cool that you were at that show in Montreal and that this all came around to here. So cool.
Very wild. I hope we find ourselves in the same, which it will happen. Energy, Yeah. I hope spring comes to you tomorrow. Yes. And I hope we find ourselves in a city where you're playing, and we can DM you and say, hey,
sweet. Well, you're both invited anytime.
Natty Daddy's on the podcast. Coffee for
Daddy.
Me. This has been Bothering the Band with Matt Pond of The Natural Lines. Man, what a great episode.
Thank you.
It's a trap. You can tell it's a trap. I tripped out of the basement. I tried to pull myself back. A Coles 4038 cannot fix my fidelity. A yellow coat of paint won't restore the skipping tracks. I'll be the first to let you know it's overcast. If I could control my thoughts, I would control my